we all have been so much smarter back then when we were kids. But unfortunately, somehow, when we grow up, we start to underestimate the value of fun and overestimate the value of usefulness. And I truly hate the fact that kids really need naivety to survive. Why adults actually, what is the first thing we do when we grow up? We kill naivety to survive. If you ask me, there are only two people or persons in life you really have to make proud. And it's not your manager, it's not your wife, nor your husband. As a loving father, I have to say it's not even your kids. There are two people in the world you have to make proud, and I would say it's the 8-year-old you and it's the 80-year-old you. Because the 8-year-old you didn't care about money, status, title, and the 80-year-old you won't count all of your mistakes you made along the way. And if you actually look how every tree, every plant on this planet grows, every plant, every tree grows in two directions at the same time. Like the first set of roots go away from light. They have to put to the dirt. There's a lot of resistance, right? And when this is done, the tree breaks into the sun and there's nearly no resistance anymore. And for me, this is exactly how our inner child works. Like we have this first set of deep grounded rules. That was the rough part. And then there's the rational knowledge. But here is where humans really differ from nature. By growing up, the first thing we do, we let our roots dry. We see them as childish. Like, to be honest, when I was a kid, I learned, society told me that naivety is dumb. Media told me that naivety is blonde. Thank you, Kelly Bundy. And I started to believe that naivety is something childish. And there was a researcher from the University of Virginia, and they handed over a Lego bridge like this to adults. And the only task they asked for was make the bridge balanced. And what do you think? 80% of the adults, what did they do? They added a brick rather than removing one. And what does it mean if we add a brick? Higher instability, more resources, more transportation, yada, yada, yada. But in the fairy tale of linearity, we have been learned that adding something is a plus, while reducing feels like a loss. And this is called the adaptive bias. And I truly believe this is wrong. But the bad thing is, all large language models out there already adapted the adaptive bias within their systems. So if you ask me, I would say you that simplicity can be, or naivety can be our AI anti-code in future. And if you ask me what really matters, takes a little bit. I think it's really find the simplicity again, the lightheartedness, the ease we all had as kids. And this is Arno Stern. And without knowing it, he created the biggest collection of child's paintings in the world. Because his technique is very unique, like all the paintings which are created in his place, which is called the Mall Art in Paris, they are not allowed to leave the rooms because the paintings, they're not meant to be judged from adults or from others. You paint them just for yourselves. And the thing is, without knowing it, he collected the biggest collection of children's painting, as I mentioned, 500,000 paintings. And a couple of researchers and psychologists were interested into this gold mine. And when they looked at the pictures, they found a super clear pattern. Like the first or the early pictures from young childs. If you look at the pictures, these are fantastic, holistic words, right? So kids nearly lose themselves creating those fantastic words where everything is in. But when we get older, we start, you will see it here. We just start when the knowledge kick in to repaint what we have been learned. and we are not able to think holistic anymore. We just put fun, like we put success over fun, and we lose our free play. And to change this, I would like to sign with you today a kind of Nervity Codex. And it's based on 3 core principles. And the first one is unlearning. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Bob Ross. But yeah, okay, for me, like, Bob Ross, it's something usually you make on TV when you came home way too late, a bit too tipsy, but the vodka bull is still kicking. And in every Bob Ross episode, there's the so-called, or I claimed it, no, CCC moment. Like, he painted a beautiful picture, and everyone's like, okay, for a couple of pennies I will hang it on my wall, it's a lovely picture. But then out of the sudden, he takes a blue paint and he starts to raw blue line here, and he's saying, no, Bob, don't destroy this lovely picture. But with time, the CCC kicks in, and you acknowledge, okay, he, in a word you thought already finished, he starts to create something bigger, and that's the CCC moment. And like, when I wrote the book about the topic becoming a KIDULT, I was able to meet Rick Rubin and to pitch him the idea and the whole KIDULT thing. And he told me, Christian, you're in the right direction, and let me tell you, and then he continued, knowledge generates ignorance. And I asked him about the sentences, and he told me, okay, like, if you know the end of the film at the very beginning, your curiosity level switches to energy saving mode. And this is something like, too often our brain guides us in a direction which is not always the right one. And by doing so, we lose tons of possibilities. And the second pillar is about finding the connect again. And intuition and like the togetherness, also in this room, it's not a mystical power that comes out of nowhere, but the power of intuition has totally been forgotten in our education system. But there's one high hope, it's the Yale University. They have their own infant cognition center, and they played a little puppet theater show to 6-month-old kids. And I would love to show the little theater show to you. So, after the little theater show, the puppet player came to the child with the little figures, and they asked 6-month-old child, which one do you want to play? And kids in that age, usually they grab the figure they identified themselves with. And what do you think, how many, like I can spoil it a little bit, none of the kids went for the help seeker. What do you think, how many of the kids, how many percent went identified themselves with the competitors? 0. 100% of the kids identified themselves and chose the supporter to play with. And that shows us, like, intuition, like the togetherness. It's rather than intuition than a learned skill. And that's something really powerful that kids have. And by the way, we all have been kids, right? We all were there. But somehow we press the unsubscribe button on our childhood. And a very interesting part which divides us is when kids solve problems, they solve it together as a group, as you saw here. While adults, when they solve problems, they tend to do it in isolation. So we all came to life by being socialists. Then, that's my girl. Okay, the third part and the third pillar is about being a professional rule breaker. To find the professional rule breaking thing again. Like, from one day to the other, we stopped to just do something for a dare. Like, ask yourself, when was the last time that you rang a bell and just run away and stuff? Probably was not yesterday. For some of you, yes. Who's Jakob? No, I'm kidding. No, the thing is, I think it's a wise choice to do things like that, to add things like that in life again. And it don't have to be like ringing a doorbell and running away. For me, for example, I'm the worst driver in the world when driving without a GPS. Like, if you ask me, Christian, how do you arrive? I have no fucking clue where I just arrive. I have no clue if I drove around Munich or Düsseldorf, I just arrive. So, and for me, a good thing to dare is, okay, get home back to Leipzig tomorrow without putting the GPS on. Like, stress yourself in situations like this, right? Because kids, they know per default that even when they're in a shitty situation, they know per default, per heart, that by changing the direction, you can really generate outstanding results, even when you're in a shitty situation. So, yeah, I think what really matters, we are allowed, particularly in times like this, we are allowed to relearn to ask questions again. Because in the future, with the age of AI, it's not about answers anymore, it's to relearn questions. So the good news is we are all allowed to be an asshole again and to really get back the asshole mindset. And if there rings a bell, but you think mindset, there rings a bell, but what was it again?
Happy? Why are you happy?
Because Daddy said I'm pretty.
Really?
That's not what I just said.
Yeah, Daddy said I'm pretty annoying.
Hooray, thank you very much.
Hi.
Thank you.